Hi there! In today's video I am going to integrate Puppeteer-GPT with GPT-AutoPilot. Now, if you don't know what these projects are, GPT-AutoPilot is a Python program that I have created that allows you to create full coding projects using the ChatGPT API. So it has access to your file system and it can run terminal commands. So basically it can do everything. And Puppeteer-GPT is my latest project that allows you to control the Chrome web browser using the ChatGPT API. So in today's video we are combining these two so that we will allow GPT-AutoPilot to use Puppeteer-GPT. So let's get started. So let me first demo how these things actually work. So if I run GPT-AutoPilot and I use the simple flag and the git flag, it will then ask me what do I want to do, and I'll say create a simple inventory management system in client-side JavaScript and local storage. Then it will detect a system message and it will use this client-side JavaScript system message, and we are going to write a script.js file and a style.css. And I did not see an index.html for some reason, so I will tell it, yes, I want to do something else. Add an index.html as well. Now I'm currently using the GPT 3.5 API. It works better usually with the GPT-4 API, but it is too expensive, so I use this one. So now we should have an index.html and a style.css and a script.js. So if we actually open the code folder here and we open index.html, then here we have a little inventory management system. Now I in fact have a product here because I have been testing this on my computer before. So I have something in the local storage. I have inventory items, inventory and inventory data. So I will delete these from here and let's refresh this. So now we have nothing in here, and if I say hello and I put 1, 2, 3 and I add an item, then it will be added here, and if I refresh then it stays there because they are saved in local storage. And we have a remove item, but that's a very weird functionality. Can I like write the name what I want to remove and then it will remove it? Okay, very interesting user experience. Now I can in fact tell it to add a delete button to all of the products separately if I want it. But this is not a demo of this application, so this is enough. You can watch my other videos on this if you want to see how this actually works, or you can try it out yourself. Now let's take a look at Puppeteer-GPT. So if I run node index.js, it will then ask me, what would you like to browse today? And I can say something like, go and subscribe to the unconventional coding channel. And what it will do is it will actually open up Google Chrome in Puppeteer and it will go to youtube.com, and then it will type in the search bar unconventional coding. Hopefully. Yes, now we are writing unconventional coding. And it will then submit this search form, and here we have my channel, and hopefully we are going to click on subscribe. Now it's probably not going to subscribe, it will just say that you need to log in or something. And we actually opened my actual channel here, and then we are not doing anything. Let me check what is actually happening here. We are clicking subscribe, but for some reason nothing happened. Perhaps there is a hidden subscribe button somewhere in this UI that it cannot click. So it doesn't work perfectly, but it kind of works. So let's now integrate this into GPT-AutoPilot. So what I would like to accomplish by integrating Puppeteer-GPT into this is that I should be able to tell GPT-AutoPilot, I have a file called resume.txt. Please go to this job listing website and find all the job listings that are applicable to my resume and submit a job application. Now, perhaps that is a bit of a bold goal, but let's try to accomplish something like this. Now, there are a couple of different ways we could do this. And the simplest would be that we would actually let GPT-AutoPilot run the script Puppeteer-GPT. So basically it will just run node index.js. And maybe we could make this in such a way that we could like pass in a prompt and then something to do, and GPT-AutoPilot could decide that, and then it would get the result. Now, currently this works conversationally. So I can tell it to do something, and then it will ask me, what do you want to do next? So it would be kind of nice if we could like have the browser running in the background all the time, and then GPT-AutoPilot could just talk to it. Like, okay, go to this website now, go to this, click that, and do this. And one way that we might be able to actually do that is if we used the popen function of Python. So there is a process.popen, popen, I don't know how to say this word, and I'm using it in somewhere. So here where I actually run commands using GPT-AutoPilot, I use subprocess popen, and this will return the process, and then we can talk to the process. And I am wondering if we can actually talk to the std_out and std_in of the process. So can we send it messages and then read the responses back? So in this case we have this sync and async version. So we can either run a command and then wait for it to run and then get the result, or we can run it and then wait for a while, and then whether it ended or not, we will continue with using GPT-AutoPilot. So in this case, if we are using the async method, then we just sleep and then we continue. But if we are using the synchronous method, then we call process wait and we wait for it to actually run. So let's do this, because I am not familiar with this process handling in Python. Let me create a test.py, and let's try here to actually talk to this script. So if we do this, we import subprocess, and then we are going to say process equals subprocess.popen, and this should get the command. So we can say just node index.js, and I don't know if this should be like a list. I don't know why they have to be a list, but this is something they usually do. Or we can do it just like this, and we can pass in shell is true. Let me know in the comments, why is it like an array usually, or a list? Because I'm used to PHP, where you just put the string in exec and then it executes it. I think it's either a security thing or it's something to do with the operating system, or perhaps both. But if I do this, and we don't of course put a semicolon in there, then this should open that process, and then we can talk to it, I guess, somehow. So what if we then do something like process dot, do I get actually some order completion? We have std_in and std_out. Are these actual files? So can I do this? Can I do with open process.std_out as std_out? And then can I read it? Can I do print std_out? And should I do something like process.kill? So let's see what this actually does. So let's run it. Python 3 test.py. Okay, we actually ran the program. And what is this output that we get? We're still running it, so I guess we did not kill it. I guess because we got an error here. So I think we have to pass some flags here, like std_out is pipe or something like this. But I think that I would be better off trying to use ChatGPT to do this. So let's see. How do I run a subprocess in Python and then read its std_out and write to its std_in? Okay, so we have to say std_in subprocess pipe, std_out subprocess pipe. All right. Text is true, shell is true. Okay. std_in write, std_in flush. Okay. std_out read. Okay, so let's do that. So we are going to set shell equal to true. std_out is going to be subprocess.pipe. And std_in will be the same. And std_err, I guess, as well. subprocess pipe. And I guess we should put the text equals true. And then we can do this. Process std in write, process std in flush. Okay, process std out read. Now what is it going to read? Like how long is it going to wait for the process to say something? Is it going to just hang there? So let's try to do this. Output data is that. And let's print output data. Print output data. And then let's kill it. And let's see if this actually works. Okay, so we are hanging here now. So I'm guessing that we are waiting for the process now, because we are waiting for the std out. Can I read just a single line or limit the time how long I read the std out? Okay, so this gets a little bit complicated. Ready to read and blank is select, process std out. Okay, let's see how this works. So I'll kill that one and I will do that. So I guess this select has something to do with like sockets, because I did some testing before with PHP some time ago with sockets, and they had also some select function. So I'm not quite sure what this line does here. Do I need to like import select? Is that a thing? Because we are saying select.select. Okay. R list, W list, X list. So I guess read list, write list, and execute list. I don't know. Okay, and here's the timeout. So we can say 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever. And then we can print output data. Let's see if this now works. Okay, it actually works. So now we got GPT, hello, what would you like to browse today? So now we can read it. Then we should write to it. So what if we make a Python interface for this JavaScript program? So what if I just do this? I print that and then I say prompt equals input, and I don't actually have to pass in anything here. It's just input. Maybe I can just do this. And then after that I can say process std in write, and I can put the prompt in there, and then I guess I have to do process std in flush. So then we are passing the prompt from Python into that process. And then I guess we could make this a loop, so we can say while true, and we just do this forever. So we read something and we print it, and then we ask for an input, and then we pass it the input and we wait again. So now we should be able to have like a Python interface for this program. And if I now say go to the unconventional coding YouTube channel, then now there is the timeout 5 seconds, which might be not enough. Like right now it's timing out already. But now we didn't actually run Puppeteer, so maybe the message did not go through. So let's close this. And I wonder if I have to add a new line here. I think there should be a new line in the... No, there's no new line. That's the problem. So I have to add a new line here, because I think input strips the new line that we send. So let's try this again. So if I now say go to the unconventional coding YouTube channel and I send it, then now we are actually opening Puppeteer. So now we are talking to a JavaScript script from a Python script. And we are in fact going to YouTube and it works properly. Now, of course, we are now going to time out here, I guess, although we didn't get the timeout yet. Or is it actually going to run the whole thing and only after that it will go to the next? Sounds weird if it does that. But yeah, we are browsing to unconventional coding and now we are on the page. So what happens after we are done? It should tell us that, okay, I am now on the unconventional coding page. But do we get that in the Python script? Nothing is happening right now. So I think that I want to close this because we might be sending requests to the ChatGPT API and it is costing me some money. But okay, we are pretty close. So I really want to know why we didn't go back to the start of the loop. Let me go back to ChatGPT and okay, so we're calling flush. What does flush do? I have no idea. Alright, I did some investigation there for maybe 20 or 40 minutes, but I came back to this version now because my trials didn't really work. So hopefully I came back to the same position where I started my little tangent. So right now we are in an infinite loop in which we read a line from the standard output of the process that we are starting here, which is the Puppeteer process. And then when we get the line, then we ask for input from the user. But currently the problem is that this only reads one line. So when we call read line, then it only reads one line, but we would like to read all the lines that are available. But in my testing, if I call read line when there are no lines to read, then it will just wait for a new line. So what I want to figure out now is how do I get all of the lines that are in stdout. Now, I got some help from ChatGPT already that I could do this, but I tried it inside a function that I created and it didn't really work. But let's now try it directly here. So if I now do this, output data is nothing. And then for line in process stdout, we are going to say output data plus equals line. So this should read all of the lines in there. But what seemed to happen in my previous testing is that this will do the same thing as the read line. So it will get stuck when there's no output anymore. So let's see if this actually works. So if we run this now, it will in fact get stuck. So it's not going anywhere. So probably if I print here the line, then we actually get the line, but it stops at the last line. Okay, so we didn't get the second line because there should be another line here, U, but we don't get it. But if I do this, output data plus equals process dot read line, and I do this 2 times, then I believe we get the actual output. Sorry, process stdout read line. We still don't get it. So I guess we are stuck now at the second one. So there's a limit we can pass. What does that mean? By default it's -1. What if we put 1? Is that the limit of the length of the text? Probably. So we got just GP. Okay, so we got just one character and then we got another character. Okay, I get it now. Because when I run Puppeteer-GPT, it will say U and it will not make a line. So that's why it gets stuck, because it tries to read a line, but we don't get a full line. So what we have to do is either figure out how to read partial lines. I mean, guess we could read like 3 or 4 letters at a time and then detect U. But how about we do this? Where I use input, I have this input function here that uses the read line function, which asks a question. Then I will just add here a new line. So now if we run directly node index.js, then we get this on a new line, which is not that nice. But if we then say go to YouTube, it will still work just the same. And we will go to YouTube. So now what we can do is we can actually make this work. So we can then say for line in process stdout, and we can say output data plus equals line. And then we can actually print out the output data. And I don't want to handle this else at all, and I will set this to empty at first, and I will remove this comment. And in fact, I will move this here, and I will only print the data if there is some data. In fact, I will just print the line. So this is what we are doing. And let's see, I will add here input so we can actually see what is going on here. So, sorry, not that one. We will run the test.py. And now we got the lines. Now, I have to say end is nothing because in the line there is already a new line. So now we get exactly what comes from index.js. And then we can say go to YouTube. And we are going to go to YouTube, hopefully. Except we are not going to YouTube. So let's see what is going on. Let's print here right. And let's print here flush. And let's print here end. And here let's print start. And let's try this again. Let's see what is going on. Go to YouTube. Okay, we are not even printing right. So do I need to send another enter? No. Do I need to flush this one? Let's try this again. Start. Hello. What would you like to browse today? Go to YouTube. Wait a minute. We are not at the input yet. So how do I detect when the input ends? I could say just if line trim equals, sorry, it's not trim, it's strip. If it is U, then we are going to break. This is horrible code. And then, now we get the input. And then we can say go to YouTube. And we got right, flush, end, start. And then we got actually some output from the code. And then we get the input again. But now we don't want the input here until we get to U. So until we get the next response from ChatGPT. So let's do this. We read until we get to U. And then we are going to ask for input. So I might move this in there. So if we get the line U, then we are going to ask for input. And we are going to send that input to the process. And let's set here prompt equal to none. And then we can say if line strip equals GPT, or in fact we could say starts with GPT. Then if also prompt is not none, then this will be the response from ChatGPT. So then we should print this. So let's do print response, which will be the line strip. Can I do for line strip in process stdout? And then I could do just this. Let's see. No, we cannot do that. So I'll just say that line equals line strip. And if we run this, then we get, hello, what would you like to browse today? And the input will be, go to YouTube. And then we should read until we get to U, or until we get to GPT, and then we should print response is that. And then when we get to U, then we will ask for more input. So let's see if that actually works. So we are getting actually the output now from Puppeteer-GPT, and we got U and input. And we have the response. You are now on YouTube's homepage. What would you like to do next? And if we open this here, then we are in fact on YouTube's front page. So let's see, if we would like to click on biggest lottery winners ever, then could we do that? Open the video about lottery winners. Then what are we going to do? We are going to type in the search box. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are searching for lottery winners. Okay, so it didn't really understand what I wanted to do. And then we are going to go to the results. And we actually got the same video here. So are we going to click on that? Yes, we are. So now we open that video, which actually is an advertisement. So now it works. Now we can communicate with our script, and we get the start here all the time now because we are in the infinite loop. So let's remove this thing, and I guess we should do here else and check if the status is still, if it's still running. If it's not running anymore, then we should close this thing. So how do we do that? How do I check if the process is still running? Okay, I can do process poll while it is none, it's still running. So if I do this, if process poll is none, then we are going to break. And are we going to get an error if we try to kill a process? So I guess we could just put here, if process poll is not none. Wait a minute, what way? It's the other way. Is not none, then we break. If it is none, then we kill it. Okay, so let's test this one more time. Go to YouTube, and we are going to go to YouTube. And if I now close this window before it closes itself, then we should stop this execution. But that is not happening, so this does not work. So let's do else, and let's do print process.poll. What is in there? Go to YouTube. And if I close it right away, what happens? It's still running for some reason. Maybe we are like at a 5-second delay, but it is not going to this statement at all, which is interesting. So I think we are getting stuck again in this. How do I make it not read it? Or wait a minute, maybe it is ready to read every time. So maybe I just add this up here. If process.poll is not none, then we break. Perhaps that is the way. And down here, if it is none, then we kill it. Let's try one more time. Go to YouTube. And we are opening YouTube again. And we actually closed it now too early. So let's print what is process.poll. Go to YouTube. Okay, so now it actually worked. What happened before? What if I now close this? And I just say test. Then it answers me, sure, please specify the task you want Puppeteer to perform. So it is actually still running. So even though Puppeteer closed, we are still running the index.js. Okay, so let's try now to make this a function for GPT-AutoPilot. It doesn't work quite perfectly yet, but we can do something interesting, hopefully, in this video. So let's, instead of printing out the response, let's return the line, and let's remove prefix GPT, and let's make this a function. So let's define, in fact, the whole thing. Define. What is the function name? Browse internet. And we are going to pass in here the objective. And then we are going to do this. We are going to start Puppeteer, and we are going to wait for a response. And we can remove this print from here. And if we get the U, then instead of asking for an input, we will just write the objective there. So what is a better name for objective? I can't think of a better word, so I will just say objective. But now we have to fix this. Prompt is not none. So maybe we just call this prompted, and let's call this false, and let's call this not false. Sorry, while it is false. Not prompted. So if the line starts with GPT and we have not prompted GPT yet, or in fact, when we have prompted GPT already, and then we get the response, then we return that response from this function. And we will kill this process if it is still running. And if we get to this point for some reason, then we will return unable to browse the internet. And then this should now do whatever we pass in here. And then we can let GPT-AutoPilot decide what is the objective of browsing the internet. So let's see if this still works. So if I now say browse internet, and I will say go to the unconventional coding channel on YouTube, and then I run test.py, then it should just do it without any prompting. And we are going to youtube.com. And then once the page has loaded, we should be searching for unconventional coding in the search bar. And that is exactly what we are doing. And then we should open the channel. So we have the search results here, and we actually have my channel here. So are we going to click on that channel? Yes, we are. And I guess that should be it. So now we should just close the browser, and we shouldn't have anything in the terminal because I didn't return the function, which I probably should have, but there should be no output. We still clicked on something. We went back to YouTube. Now I'm not sure if this is a problem of Puppeteer-GPT or my new script. We are searching for it again. Okay, perhaps it is in a loop now. So we printed 1 now. I guess that is the status here, the poll, okay? So I will remove that one. And the problem for the loop was that I didn't set my prompted to true. So here we have to say prompted is true. So now it's gonna work. So now we will move this function into GPT-AutoPilot. So I will copy this thing and I will go to GPT-AutoPilot. And I'm in the GPT functions now. So here I will add browse the internet. And I need to define this function for the OpenAI API. And I will run, we should get the path. So let's do paths.relative. And we will add here, I forgot how I did this. I have a paths module. And I have a relative function here, which will return a relative path from the GPT-AutoPilot script. So I will pass in here index.js, and I will pass in Puppeteer-GPT. So we will get from the Puppeteer-GPT folder index.js, and that is what we will run. And do I import paths? Yes. So that should now work. And we have to import select. Import select. And then we have to define this function. So let's go down here where we have all these function definitions. So I will take, let's say, the open file for writing function, and I will copy it here like that. And I will call this browse internet func. And the name will be browse internet. And the description of this function is use an AI agent to browse the internet to perform a specific task, such as finding out information or filling out forms or anything else that you can do with a browser. And we will pass in the objective, which will be a detailed description of what should be done with a browser. For example, find out who are the current US presidential candidates, or go to URL X and fill out form Y. Let's give some sort of examples for it. I'm not sure what would be the best description for this function. Now, this can only run one thing now, but I would like it to be able to ask more prompts from Puppeteer-GPT, but I have to test with the simple version first and then try to make it better later. And then what we are going to do is we are going to conditionally add this function to the function definitions. So I'll do this. If browsing in the command line arguments, then we are going to add that function to the function definitions. So I'll say func definitions plus equals browse internet func. I think that will work. In fact, I have to use append. So now if I use the browsing command line argument, which I have to add to my CMD args, which there is apparently an arg parser module, but I didn't know that exists. So I created my own thing from scratch. So I will add here somewhere browsing. So allow GPT-AutoPilot to browse the internet with Puppeteer-GPT. And I have to add it down here as well. So I will copy that one and I will add here the comment as well. And this will be browsing. And I will in fact say just args browsing is true. And I will put type ignore. Because I get weird errors from this from Pyrite, so I will just ignore it. So now we should have enabled web browsing in GPT-AutoPilot. Let's try it out. Let me create a file here and I will remove these old things from here and I will make a new file and I will call this instructions.txt and I will just write here, find the unconventional coding channel on YouTube, and that's it. Let's just start with this. So this is now in an instructions file. So I will try to see if this can actually do multiple different things. So can it read the instructions from the file and then perform the task? So I will run simple git and browsing. And then I will say, yes, I want to keep these files. And I will say, do the task in instructions.txt. Perhaps that is enough. So what if I do this? It should then read that file, reading instructions, and waiting. What is happening? Okay, we are trying to start Chrome and search for unconventional coding. Okay, well, that might actually work, but I wonder what it did here. There was some sort of error now because I didn't actually move my Puppeteer-GPT in there. So if I actually check the history, I can actually see the errors here. So unable to browse the internet. So it was unable to do that. So I will have to say cp r / Puppeteer-GPT here. So now I should have Puppeteer-GPT in there. So now I should be able to run it. So let's do this again. And I will say again, yes. And I will say, do the task in instructions.txt. And we are reading instructions.txt and we are going to YouTube. And once we are in YouTube, we are going to be searching for unconventional coding. And here you go. We are searching for unconventional coding and we go to the search results and then we have my channel there and hopefully we are going to click on it and that should be the end of the task. Hopefully it now closes this browser and then it will say that, okay, I have accomplished the task. So let's see what happens. It's taking a very long time. This is a little bit annoying, but actually it did it. So it generated a commit message because I used the git flag. Completed coding challenge from unconventional coding channel. Okay, why did it use that? Now, in fact, I had the old git repository. I didn't delete the git file, so we deleted the CSS and the HTML files from there, from the git repository. But we actually did it. Now, this is a bit annoying that it left it open here. So why is that? Let's go to our GPT functions and browse internet. So process open and then we are going to return line remove prefix. Okay, but we should kill it. Okay, I think the problem is that the process doesn't actually stop because we ask for more information. So I will just kill it every time. That is what I have to do. And I will here as well kill it every time. So now I can close this and I probably still will have the process somewhere running. But let's see, let's try this again. So let's start over and let's do yes and do the task in instructions.txt. And we are opening the browser again and we should be going to youtube.com. And that is exactly what we are doing. So now it works. So after we have loaded the page, then we are going to search for unconventional coding in the search bar. And then we find the channel and we click on the channel. And then we should close the browser because we should call process exit, which should close this. Now actually I don't know if it will close Puppeteer. If Node is closed, will it close Puppeteer? I think it will. Let's see what is happening here. It still didn't close it. That is very annoying. Maybe I need to use Signal. Do I have somewhere Signal? I think I used Signal somewhere. Send Signal. Okay, maybe I should do this. So instead of doing kill, we are going to do send signal SIGINT, which is, I guess, signal interrupt. So let's do that. And I will try it one more time. And here we go. Hopefully it works now. Open the browser, go to YouTube, search for unconventional coding. And there it is. And then open that link. And nothing is happening, so it's still not closing it. Okay, I have to figure this out, but I will do it off camera because this video is getting too long. If you want to know how I ultimately did it, then you can check out my GitHub repository, which I have linked in the description. And you can also try this out yourself if you want. Now, as I said, this video is getting too long, so I don't have any more time to show any examples with this. So make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video where I try out some different cool things to do with this. And also let me know your ideas in the comments. What should I try to do with this? And I will try and do those things in the future. So thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.